Oh, I'm calling you
No,
already.
you were, yeah, you were calling me.
You received the call, and I
Is Khadija in? I don't see Khadija. I see Tamara,
no,
but I don't see Khadija.
Khadija, yeah, Mr. Sajid is there.
Oh,
Khadija, I saw her a while ago writing something, or maybe no.
all right, I think we're good because Yasmin won't be here.
No,
Where did where did um where did Omar go?
Omar was here. I think he dropped out.
Yeah, he'll come back in.
Is
All
he
right,
there?
I'm gonna go and get the dog because the dog is going nuts. He acts like he can't be in outside dog by himself.
Mr. Mac?
I'll be back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the man.
I'm calling Khadija if she could. I think she didn't say anything that she's not coming.
No, she said she was coming, definitely.
Yeah. Hello, salam alaikum. Are you coming? Okay, okay. Yes, yes. Better. All right. Okay. No problem. You are in good luck. Thank you, Baba. Yeah. Omar, how are you?
I'm good.
We're searching for you.
Yeah, no, I moved my laptop and it crashed, so I had to come back in. I just was at
Okay.
night, so I didn't
So
look.
in the meantime, when Ray's about done with the dog, so let me ask you how much you were able to read.
I've actually read until about 60,
Okay.
60,
Good,
so
good, good. Ah, so, Mr. Sajid, how is the weather with you? Not the one behind you.
Yes, uh, actually, it's very hot there here, but uh, you know that air conditions are working, so things are not unpleasant.
The temperature?
45 plus,
Oh, okay.
45 degrees centigrade.
Mm. Yeah, here it was kind of like that today. Was like probably a couple of degrees down, like could be 46, 40 something, 45. Yesterday was kind of real hot. Even at the moment, I think it's in Fahrenheit, it's like 107, which is like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, I think it's been like that for a couple of days too.
Yeah, it was like kind of 112 plus.
Because the weekend was like that as well here in Hobart.
Yeah. Mm,
Human
yeah,
bodies are
like,
flexible and they can adapt any kind of temperature on Earth.
yeah, feeling level, yeah, like feeling for it. Some people like, when they get used to beer the temperature sub-zero. I fancy like buying a piece of land, and I have one in California up in the north, where really it goes to minus 20, 22, something like that. But I'm like up for really the one which touches minus 70. So I want to see. They call it, there is like under the ground, it's like full permafrost. So Tamara, how are you doing?
Good.
All right.
In my new box.
Holding on to discussion, like because Ray's here, so, and also Khadija.
You
She
guys
said,
got all the sun. It's barely 70, it's barely 80 degrees here.
okay,
It's
all right.
it is
And
warm, but it's cloudy.
okay. Do you guys plan to write the points in the chat as well? Like so that things like sometimes you have the point in your mind and sometime when you're doing the discussion and if you haven't written it, you could be having in your on your paper or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever is convenient with you. But you will be discussing your points. We won't take- I was just thinking of utilizing this time of waiting rather than just asking the weather's everywhere here and there.
Yeah, let's get started.
We were waiting for you, and also like Khadija was just catching up, so I thought better wait for two rather than we miss something or they got those guys, or I mean you guys miss something.
Nothing to talk about.
All right, I would say go on,
I
Mr.
like
Sajid,
that.
your book.
Yes. Yes, it's very interesting book. It explores red light areas, the ones the, they are neglected, and we come across that men don't need simply a physical player; they need emotional player, and any kind of sector, uh, people can raise their status if they want. Means that she was prostitute, but even uh, she started helping people out in emotional touches, providing started providing them consultations, and and she was trying to control her life. I think it was not control. It's kind of illusion. She is trying to control, but eventually she is surrendering everything to others.
Mhm.
So I call this control illusion of control.
All right, good,
Excuse me, you said what kind of
interesting.
control? What
Illusion
kind
of
of control?
control. Illusion of
Illusion of
control.
control. She is deceiving herself.
Like she's in a fool's paradise. Yep. Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. We don't want to stop your flow of
Yeah.
thoughts.
And different things coming up, but actually humans are free, and if they experiment little bit, so so the so their mistakes may be neglected or overlooked.
Okay. So what did you like up till now? What did you like which struck you, or like a writer's perspective or point of view or whatever was?
uh, Actually, I like that she is passing through evolutionary phases, that from
Right.
one phase to another, and she is realizing herself, and she is uh, she is trying to explore herself
Okay.
in different domains.
All right. Anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to add?
The story is captivating, and
Mhm.
it has created solid foundation so far.
All right. Okay. Mm, anything else you want to add, or I shall move to the next
Yes,
participant or our
move
member?
move to others.
All right. I would go to Tamara before I would lose her, or we would lose her. Yes, Tamara.
Um, okay. Oh yeah, I had to run out last time. But it's testing here at school, so it's been pretty calm.
Thank you for taking out time at your work, and it's good. It's
Oh
kind of
yeah, I'm doing nothing. It's testing, it's the end of the year, so
mm.
basically nothing's going on here at school. What was the question?
I mean, I was saying, like, how do you find? I've written some questions in the chat box. If you're not ready, we can move on to someone else. You can take your time.
Well, I do find that the genre of the book goes from like romantic in the beginning with Maria. She's young, she's a young girl. She's trying to figure out if she likes this boy. She has this crush, so she falls in love easily, like a lot of young people do, fall in and out of love, or what they perceive as love. I do feel that it does fall under, because of some of the mature themes as far as sexuality and spirituality and prostitution, it can be like considered like an adult book, adult fiction.
All right.
I do like, at first I didn't think I would like the book, but it's kind of growing on me. I do agree that Maria is trying to control her life, or the lack of control that she has so far. So she's trying to figure things out and figure out who she is,
Mm-hmm.
and she has these big dreams of getting out of her small town, which I do think a lot of people who come from a small town, they have these big dreams that they want to get out and they want to go to a big city and they want to be, something explosive is going to happen to them that's going to totally change their world. And now she's starting to experience that, maybe being out in a big city is not as great as you thought it was going to be. So far, I'm liking the book.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So how do you agree, how much you agree with Sajid's point of view that she's in an illusion of control of the situation?
Well, yeah, now she's kind of, I think in the beginning, it was all about, I want to get out. I want to get out of this small town. I want to get away from my parents. I want to see something different and be something different. So her trying to control it, and then her learning that possible, having sex and what sex means, and if it doesn't feel good to her, well, why not have somebody pay for it? Why am I giving it away? So she has this kind of sort of
Hmm.
kind of has control, but not really in a sense.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to 80 yet. I think I'm to like
Okay. So
75.
you partially kind of agree with Sajid. All right.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Okay. Who would like to go next?
Who went already?
Omar, you want to go ahead?
Dr. Mahassan is raising her hand.
Yes. All
Hey,
right. Okay,
Auntie.
okay, Dr. Mahas.
Hey, family. Salam alaikum. Family, blood,
Walaikum
family, tribe, family. Those folks who are in this group. I at the beginning of the group, the book, there were some parts of the book I had to read more than once. I did get to page 80. I did not realize how graphic, and I don't know if that's really a good word, but I didn't know how much information we were going to get at the very beginning. But it starts off from the very beginning, like, taking us on this ride with this young woman, as Tamara said, who has decided to, leave her small town and find her place in the world. I just want to touch on three things, and two of them are questions. And so the first question is, although she chose prostitution, which is, we know, one of the oldest, if not the oldest, profession, right, that we know of for women in the world, is her journey any different from most people? Yes, she is selling her body for a price that she has no control over, as Mr. Sudgett said. She doesn't get to control the value of herself, yet she does get to control who she goes to a hotel with, right? She gets to make that decision. So that gives her some sense of control. But is her journey any different than many people who are trying to find themselves in the world, especially women who don't feel, they can make it in wherever they are? That was one of my first thoughts. My second thought was the idea of love and sexuality. I don't know what's to come after page 80. I'm not sure if she really connected love with sexuality. I think she used sexuality as a tool. First, she's really pretty. She's described as really pretty, which means that attention is always on her. Although her mother reminds her that, looks will leave, you need to get what you need to get now. You need to grab a husband. You need to have someone who's going to provide and take care of you. You will not be this pretty face forever. But she uses that as an advantage, right? She uses her looks to her advantage, which a lot of people do, male and female. So I think that I'm not sure that she's connecting sexuality in terms of the act of sex and love together, because she tends to separate the two so far. Although she also, times in the story, she wants to know what love really is, but she cannot connect it with the profession that she's chosen, because she's been warned, right? Don't fall in love. Don't kiss them on the lips. Don't go home with them. Don't give them your phone number. Don't create or develop these relationships that could turn into love, right? So I think that she is torn between the two, but so far she seems to be in the driver's seat, you know?
So these
Um,
don'ts keep her like a kind of a boundary between the control and like a profession.
well, the rules keep these boundaries, right? Right. She's been told by, what was his name? Marlon, the owner of
Marlon,
the
yeah,
club, right?
yeah,
And then the girl, the Brazilian girl who told her, not the
mm,
Brazilian girl, the Filipino girl
yeah,
who told her, don't kiss them on the lips. Certain things she told her, behave
yeah,
this way to make more money, to even get a tip, make this man
yeah,
feel like, he's on top of the world. Because obviously, as Mrs. Sedgwick said, many of them are coming and she didn't even have sex with them. She just basically, listened. Some men just wanted somebody to listen to them.
right.
So she became, not only was she a prostitute in the sense of
Okay,
selling
got the idea.
herself for sex, but she also became the therapist and the nurse and all those things in them. So
So,
I don't know if her journey is really any different. It's just what she chose to do.
right,
And even I would even go so far as to say a lot of women do this without even knowing, right? They will go out to dinner and sleep with a man, right? They didn't get money, but they got, nice dinner or a trip or a bag or an outfit, which she got in the beginning, right? So I don't know if her journey is any different than many women. Um, I'm curious to know what's going to happen as we get down the line, because right now, Marlon, or I think his name is Martin,
yeah,
he seems to be a businessman, right? You can do these things, but you cannot go above a certain price. This is a family atmosphere that people bring their wives. However, if you want to go home with somebody, this is the price and this is my cut, right? So
right.
is he any different from the average pimp? I don't know. We don't see the cruelty yet to that degree. Um, but it's very interesting how she appears to know what she's doing, or think she knows what she's doing, but she's going back and forth with, what have I gotten myself into? And yet she continues to educate herself so that she can be the best at what she does.
Yeah,
And while I'm
she's
not
developing
commending,
her skills.
yeah, I'm not commending prostitution, but I'm commending this woman who has decided to make her own place in the world and be as good at it as she can possibly be. However, I'm not saying, okay, I'm not condoning the choice that she made, but I'm also not condemning her as a human being, you know. People who are hungry know exactly what I mean. Sometimes there are things you might do that you thought you wouldn't do just so that you can eat. So, I mean, that's my take on it. But I really, so far, I like the relationship that we're developing with her as readers of the book so far.
Right.
So I
I
think
couldn't get your third point.
Oh, I think I gave them all. I think
All right. Yeah.
Bridget had Khadija asked
Like
prostitution on
that.
her own terms, and
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
agree with that to a
All right.
large extent. Yeah.
so.
Okay.
I think I think one of the things we need to do as we dive into this book is talk about the many dimensions of prostitution. For our main character here, she is in an environment that is culturally acceptable. There's a culture of acceptance. People don't necessarily have to hide this level of prostitution. So therefore, there's it's a respectable game or a respectable uh, culture transaction because there's in where they're in France or where she Geneva where they are, it's acceptable, right? Um, so when we ask whether Martin is a pimp, no, he's not a pimp. He's just it's not the best profession to be in. I wouldn't call it respectable, but it's accepted. It's accepted. So you wouldn't call him a pimp because what he's doing is providing basically a venue. The women are tested to make sure they don't have sexually transmitted diseases. So it's a culture, right? Um, so her experience in prostitution would be a lot different than other women's experience in prostitution who would have pimps or who who because she wasn't forced into this thing. This is something that she decided to do because she is beautiful. Because everybody is basically asked to be with her employer back home, right? So she knows exactly what she's doing. She doesn't have control of the rates because the rates are what they are in Geneva, right? If she went somewhere else, the rates would be different. The rates are what they are in Geneva because they have a culture, they have kind of rules to this. Also, remember that she's made enough money to go back home. She has decided to stay, right? She remember she said, "I like enough. If I can get enough to get a ticket back to home," but she's made that money twice over, right? Twice, three times over. So I think she is playing the cards that she has been dealt. She's a pretty woman. Um, Brazilians also have a thing where people, this is one of the things that we stereotype Brazilian women, Filipino women, Lebanese women, certain nationality of women have certain stereotypes. And I think she's saying, look, I'm a Brazilian woman. We already have these stereotypes. Nothing's quite working out for me. What I'm gonna do? Go marry this old guy and at the what's seamstress, the fabric shop, right? She's playing the cards that she's dealt, and luckily for her, she's not in a human trafficking ring. She's not experiencing violence, right? But understand that when we have this conversation, there are women who do this because they're drug addicted, There are women who do this because they're forced into it. The women who are coming across the border in America from these South American countries, they're forced into it because their families didn't pay the fee, the transportation fee, or with the coyote, they call it the coyote fee. So they're forced into it. So when we look at and read this book, we gotta look. We can't look at prostitution from a generic sense, because prostitution takes on many different faces.
So which
Some
dimensions you want to look at it specifically, like in regarding this
no,
book or
no,
whatever
so
you have
I
it?
want to keep it. As we read the book, I want to keep in mind that there's many different dimensions of
Okay.
prostitution.
All right.
I want to keep
Yeah.
that in mind, that all
Yeah.
prostitution is not created equal. There are some
Yeah.
women who are in prostitution who are forced to do it. There are some
Yeah.
women who are in prostitution because they're drug addicted. There are some women who are in prostitution because they want to do it. I know. So the reason why I'm liking this book so far, but it's painful because we talked about my community organizing. Um, I had a part of my life experiences dealing with a lot of prostitutes in Baltimore, with some of the initiatives that I was dealing with, and to see the wide range of people who were prostitutes in Baltimore and the reason why they were prostitutes. No one person's story was pretty much the same. You could categorize them, you could put them in categories, but nobody's story was the same. There was two female law enforcement officers who were in prostitution that I personally had conversations with. So I mean, they were in law enforcement, and their reasons for doing it was a little bit different than the person who, is a single parent mother and is trying to figure out how she's going to pay her rent, from the person who is, a 35-year-old woman drug addicted, to a person who is, 55 years old and alcoholic and trying to figure out and staying at the Motel 6, right? And that's the Motel 6 is her house. Everyone home, brother. All prostitution is not equal, and that our main character here, she is in the upper echelon of prostitution. Um, um, so that I think I'll
Like a
stop.
golden ticket.
This is her golden ticket based on her situation. This is her golden ticket. And listen, and she realized that because everywhere she goes, people, she knows she's attractive, right? But there's also this kind of duality too, because she also says as she walks in Geneva, nobody looks at her, right? She's not getting the callbacks to be a model. So there's also a duality there, right? Which is interesting, because I think that drives her in the prostitution even more, because she's hot, but she's not hot enough to be a model. It makes sense? Which I think drives her deeper into prostitution, if that makes any sense. But I'll
Oh,
stop right there.
okay. Good.
Good thought. Definitely a good thought.
So who would like
Suppose
to
I
go
can share my
next?
thoughts if
All right, go ahead.
I can't hear. Is anybody else here the static? I'm sorry, excuse me. Is it just me?
It's probably your internet is frozen. Can you hear us?
I can hear staticky, yes.
is it
That means there is some.
staticky now?
It's vibrating, it's not staticky, like echoey.
No.
Like
Oh, you know what? Hold on. It might be me. Hold on.
Is it better now? Okay.
a little bit.
From when I read the book, I read it till page 60, so I'll only talk about my experience. But I will answer some questions that came up later. I saw that when I read it first, it played out like a fairy tale. So it was talking about once upon a time, and the way it's narrated, it's almost like it could have been a children's book, if it were just written about a different subject, which is quite interesting. I like the style in which it's written. For our main protagonist, I think she's someone that is a young person trying to make their way out through life and doesn't understand what things are like with experience. So like the consequences of her actions, she doesn't really get them until she's already gone through the motions. So she starts off naive, and then as she goes through the book, she's starting to try and, develop herself and become wiser. And so far, I think she's at a point where she's just reached the first bar, Copacabana, and she's just about to have her first night there. And I think, I don't know where the story is going, but I don't think it's going to have a good ending, at least from my point of view. So that's what I think so far. I'm sorry that was out of.
It's okay. Khadija, go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about the ending yet. I'm afraid to think about it. I don't even know what to think yet. Yeah, maybe she ain't getting back to that farm, but see, you ain't read as far as I'm at though. This the painter guy now she done met, so that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. They going to somewhere, whatever that road leads to, they going to. But it's like a special road, but is it a fairy tale road? Anyway, okay. So I had a few things, right? I like the way that the book moves along quickly. I do like that. One thing that I noticed that like a lot of the books have like she does like the diary thing or whatever. I just never been a friend of diaries. How now, like how she opened up her diary and we are reading it, like in my head. Maybe, Auntie. I know Tamara. I'm gonna say this again. Tamara, Auntie is Auntie's sister, but I'm saying I'm her niece on the other side of the family. So sometimes I may say Auntie and may not say Tamara, but that's why. But you know how it is, right? Tamara don't know. Tamara don't know Auntie now when you got other people in a room with you growing up, you be afraid. I was always, even when they had them keys to the diary, I was always afraid somebody was going to see my diary. And people used to do that back then. Be like, oh, remember, people would read people's diaries, and I'd be like, ain't nobody read my diary. And I think that that's what always, because I was always out the house, and my brother and other sister was always home. I was like, I know they would have found it, and one day I ain't had no lock to lock it up, except the lock to the diary. Anyway, never been a fan of journaling, but I like it. But I like it, right? I don't know why I wrote down religious default love for Jesus. I don't know.
All
I don't
right.
know why I wrote that down right now. I should.
Because
I
it
should.
was
Yeah.
she's always praying to uh, Saint Mary. I mean, like she's always praying for Mary, and like she's always bringing that kind of strength thing or recharging her from there and emotionally recharging her. That's where probably could have been your point.
Do
She
you think that that was Mary with her when she said it was this lady with her that was walking that was telling her don't go to that Rubinate thing?
You mean the kind of
she
like
had an
a kind
invisible
of
friend.
imaginary person or going
Yeah,
being
yeah,
around?
yeah.
Yeah.
You think that's who she was seeing?
No,
Because she
no,
talked
no,
about
no. She
Mary
was thinking
mother.
of like out of body kind of an experience, a guide for her own virtual personality, or you can say like a kind of a virtual character or kind of true Maria.
Yeah.
So
I
that's what
kind of
she
like
was
her.
kind of.
No, I actually thought that was a religious kind of a transaction. It's that good, the good angel, bad angel type of
Yeah,
situation.
she would say that Maria, the real Maria from the church, she's the like always like kind of a savior. Be careful, be careful, be careful, like a kind of a mom character, which is like with her. Virtually, she's aware of it in the back of her mind. So whenever she's doing anything bad, so she would point it out or be careful, watchful, kind of, yeah. But you were
Yeah,
telling
and
me,
then I
For
just said
me,
that even from the beginning and stuff. So from even from the beginning, when we talked about prostitution, how people use it for like they different means or different um like I've heard some women be like, I know how to get what I want, and they know how to get what they want from whoever they need to get it from. And that's what they use. Sometimes it's on the woman's side, sometimes it's from the man's side. But I still say it always makes me go back to the case for polygyny, because when she was saying, "Oh, the man needs this, the man needs that," when she started reading about the different psychologies of the people that she could deal with and the different ways to communicate with them or whatever, I thought that was a very smart move. But it still proved to me that sometimes one person is not going to get everything to fulfill them out of one person. And I'm not saying like, oh, be with like a bunch of different people. Of course, I have to use Islamic guidelines when I'm saying that, but I do understand it. I do kind of understand it. Almost to the point too where you be glad when he going too, because then you have your free time. But but yeah. So that's pretty much it for me. I got something in here too about page 14, things were different then. And then I said mother used the term due to an unexpected pregnancy. But I'm like, I don't even know who had the unexpected pregnancy now. Was Maria talking about mother?
The
Because
mother.
Maria doesn't have children, does she?
No, the mother
No,
was
her
talking
mother
about
is a
herself.
second child, I believe.
Oh, her being the
No.
second child. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
Yeah.
the mother tells her to get married and this and that and the other, and the mother says like, I didn't even love your father, but because when she's like, she wants to get married when she's young, like 16, and she says to her mom, like, you married dad when you were 16, you know, and the mom says it was a different time back then, the girls got married early,
Yeah,
and
or
she kind of intimated that possibly they got married because she was pregnant, and then she lost it, but they were still married.
but she didn't know that this was the reason that they got married.
She
Right.
didn't know this was the reason
Yeah,
why her parents,
yeah,
got
got married.
married.
Yeah, because she
You
asked
know,
her question to her mom, why you got married or something, or at that point she just kind of closed the subject.
but
She
again,
chose the subject because she didn't want to tell
Yeah, she didn't want to tell her
her
that
daughter
this thing
that she
happened
had got
before the
pregnant.
marriage. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And
this is interesting because that's why this book is very interesting, because these are cultural things, right? That idea that there was a time, and I think that's what you were writing in your notes. There was a time when you didn't go home to your mother and your father pregnant without being married. I'm a product of that. My mother and father only got married because I was conceived. And my mother, and she told my father straight up, I'm not going back to 2700 Mirror Street with this pie in the oven, and I don't have a ring on my finger. And they got married. My father was a decent man and married her, and they stayed married. But they stayed married. They never got divorced. So, and that was a cultural thing. So, and I think that's why I want us to be very careful as we read this book, because there's a lot of cultural significant moments that people experience.
And I like that, showing how different cultures still the same thing still exists. And you might want to think that stuff don't exist in Switzerland. The only thing they have is snow and money
Yeah, you wouldn't
and
expect it to
prostitution.
be in Geneva, which is why the setting is so
yeah.
interesting to have picked.
All right.
I think
I would share my thoughts. Yeah, go ahead. You want to say something, Omar?
Oh, I was just going to add, because one of the biggest transitions in the story so far for me was when she was at that expensive restaurant with that Arab suitor who had come there with the promise of
Right.
giving her a modeling opportunity. And when he had asked that question, she started to cry. But then in that moment, she had the choice between walking away, which is kind of an interesting thing. What would the story have been if she walked away from that point? Would she have done things differently? Would she have a different life? And et cetera, et cetera. But she chose to go that night with him to the hotel. So that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah, Dr. Mahasan, before I start, you go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make something, I think, to just, piggyback on what Dr. Ray said. Sometimes we look at women who choose this profession as, really bad people, right? Or, how, why would she lower herself to such, to that degree? However, the idea of the thought that spirituality, that these women could actually be spiritual. That, I mean, that permeates through the story. Like, she lets you know that she does believe in something greater than herself. She does believe in the spiritual being, right? And so that helped me get through the beginning of the book, Dr. Ray, that I totally started saying, okay, look at what that looks like in Brazil, in Switzerland, in Amsterdam. What does this profession look like? And and judge, not judge this character based on my set of morals, but based on what is acceptable. And it allowed me to see her as a, as a woman who chose this profession and actually looked at this profession a little bit differently, because I think Khadija mentioned it too. Women continue to do it even to today. And I'm not talking about women who are openly a prostitute, but women tend to get what they need from men in so many other ways. And so I just started looking at her like, okay, that's no different. She's just doing it for money. But some women do it, like I said, for perfume, for a bag, for a drip, to pay their rent, for different things. But the idea that spirituality never left her. She never talks about, I don't believe in. She talks about a belief in something greater than herself, So I like, the fact that we get to see the humanism in this person who happens to have chosen this profession.
All right.
The good thing is she doesn't fall in line. Whatever the task she performs, she brings new flavor in it. When she was in club, everyone, the owner was exploiting everyone, but she learned the language and came back strong. And similarly, when she was in this again in this club, then she started reading books. She started working as a therapist as well. So she was appealing. She was appealing emotionally rather than physically. And good thing is good to know that even prostitution has rules, and she is abiding by those rules, following those rules. That always paid up front. Don't go to any other person's home.
Again, she has
And
these rules only apply in the context of what she's in. These rules
yeah,
only apply in the context that
yes,
she's in.
in specific context, in our context.
All right. I would try and share with you my thoughts. Mm, I knew before, and I did some little bit of research that, Paulo Coelho is from Brazil. So I was trying to figure out what is the level of prostitution, as Ray is mentioning about the culture, that the kind of, how I would say that the amount of prostitution going on in Brazil. There are lots of jokes. There are only two things, two professions very famous, either playing football or being a hooker there. So these are the kind of culture. And the second important part I want to bring into your notice, maybe you already know it or not, is that uh, she, I mean, in Brazil, it's legal. The prostitution is legal. It's like not being a pimp, not being running a club for that, but providing an individual service is kind of legally supported there. And like I have seen data, and I was seeing that probably a 2016 or 13 figure was around more than 1.5 million prostitutes, registered prostitutes in Brazil. And that is kind of a good number percentage. Think like, population of, I think is around 8 million or some, I forgot the number of Brazil population, but this is a heavy number, one of the top listed in terms of
No,
the,
Brazil It still should have a couple 100 million people.
Could be, yeah. But like I'm talking about 1.5 million is compared to the number of people they have. And 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 also it brings down to, so I was thinking Paulo is from Brazil, so it is so common in there. So the girls from the town areas, Tamara has mentioned that they have big dreams to come out, and they don't have any qualifications, so this is the best thing they could offer. So this is the natural thing, they can trade it. So they think for whatever they could get the benefit, and it would fulfill their bigger dreams. But eventually it turns out to be this social kind of 210 million. All right. So think like 210 million, and the percentage of, I was seeing the other countries like it was just in thousands, 100,000, something like that, or less than that in the number of prostitutes. But thinking about 1.5 million is like a big number, something like that. Anyway, so I mean, which means that every third person could be like involved in some point of their life in that profession. So I was thinking, Paulo, it would be very like kind of, it would be impossible for Paulo to be not touched by this kind of thing in that culture where he's from originally. But I was thinking if that is the case, it could have been, as Ray has mentioned, that you have to look into different dimensions of this profession. So, I mean, there would have been a lot deeper deep. I don't know at this 80 page is how deep it is, and she's looking for love at the moment, whatever is told. Maybe Paulo's message is that the difference, as Dr. Mahasin has said, that the Maria is still looking for the difference between a love and the sex. And so that's the difference Paulo wants to bring to the people, that there is, like he progressively goes towards that and brings it out there. So this is one of my observation. And the character he brought in there as Maria, she's curious, and from probably most of the girls that are coming into this profession from his country, they belong to that kind of thing. I remember some book, I remember something like Xavier Hollander, something like that. Was she wrote this kind of a book like long time ago. I read it after the university. But I also agree with Tamara that probably touches to some kind of an adulterated book to some point. But Paulo is trying to use this and that, all kind of situations and the plot he's creating to let the people read it. And I don't know, I'm still waiting for what kind of context of love he's trying to explain in the end. So this is my point of view. I also shared with you one of the sentence I found kind of like, this is where you are the one who would decide to be the victim of it, or be the hunter of the gold adventurer.
I think that our main character here, I think she knows what love is. I don't think
until this point,
I don't think there's any conflict about that. I
until this
think this is
point, do you think?
I think I think the her challenge is fulfillment of life. She wants to fulfill her life, right? And I think she understands that love is a very precarious, undefined thing that she wants, but she doesn't want it at the expense of the fulfillment of her life. Because one of the things that we know about this main character that a couple people have mentioned is she just doesn't settle, right? She's going to the library. She reads up on things. She learned French, right? She's not typical. She's atypical. So this tells us that she looks at things very pragmatically, and that she wants to secure the best option given the situation that she's in. She's young, she is quite attractive, she's found her way to Geneva. Let's ride this boat as much as far as we can, and get as many benefits as we can. and she's willing to do that in lieu of this thing called love, and maybe she catches up with love at another time. Maybe she doesn't find love at all, but I think she knows the options. I don't think she's not aware of the options. I think
So
she
you
understands.
so you think that the situation she is in is not circumstantial. It's like more of a kind of based on knowledge that she knows.
It's circumstantial in that she doesn't have that she's ambitious, right? It's
Right.
circumstances in that ambitious. Because if she wasn't ambitious, she would have just married the fabric owner and did what her mother said, right? And he would have gave her, but she wants more than that. She wants to see the world. She wants to interact with people. And
I'm trying to understand.
she's willing to do that in exchange for not finding a Prince Charming.
Okay, I'm trying to understand
Well,
like your
I
point that she
disagree.
knows.
I
Yeah,
disagree that I think the reason why she goes from where I'm at in the book right now, I think she goes to this trip where, she goes on this trip and she's looking for that Prince Charming. She's looking for love. I don't think at this point where I am
Which
in the book,
what,
I haven't read all the way up to, I'm almost at 80. So
yeah.
so
I'm
you
at
have
the
read pretty
point
much all.
where, right,
So let's be clear.
I'm
She goes Brazil for money. She's not
right.
going. In fact, she has a resolve that the reason she's going to Brazil is not for love. She's going
You
to
mean
make
Geneva?
money.
Right.
Geneva.
No, I'm talking about no. In the beginning, she goes to Brazil as a
Uh,
vacation in the
Oh, you're
beginning.
talking about
And
the vacation. For the
right.
vacation, yeah, yeah.
So in the beginning, where I'm in the book, while she's on the beach, that's when she meets the Arab man who convinces her like he's gonna bring her to Geneva and she's gonna be this star and she's gonna
Yeah,
samba and
remember
this whole
at that point, she hasn't even thinking about prostitution at this point.
right. So that's what I'm saying. In the beginning of where I'm at in the book, I don't think she understands what love is. I don't think she has an idea. She has a very young person's, a girl's version of what maybe love is at the where I'm at in the book. And
Which is appropriate.
I really feel like she eventually, hopefully, once I get further along in the book, I'll see some changes. But in the beginning of where I'm at in the book, she's not even, like you said, she's not thinking about prostitution. She gets this contract. She thinks this guy wants to make her an actress, a model. She goes home, she tells her family, like, I'm going to be this big star and this and the other, blah, blah, blah. So they kind of agree to let her go. She goes, she finds out that she's going to be dancing in this club and she's life because she's back being that kind of scared girl. She wants to get out, but she's scared to be out. But then, like somebody said, she does take that initiative. She learns the language. She learns that, hey, if I go to him and tell him, hey, I'm gonna get a lawyer, and because what you're doing is not right, is not legal, and she kind of gets out of her contract, um, and she's kind of on her own, you know, and then that piece leads her into unfortunately into prostitution. But I don't think in the beginning she even thought that this is what I this is a choice that I'm going to have to make. But I'm understanding from what everybody's saying who's further along in the book that eventually she decides that maybe this is not so bad. But one of the points that I did make is some women feel like being married is a form of prostitution. Like my husband said, like some women, they feel like, or some men feel like, hey, I'm gonna get what I want by doing whatever means necessary. So that means having sex with him or having sex with her to get my bills paid, to get my kids taken care of, to go on fancy trips, to go to countries that I could never afford on my own. I'll sell myself, or they don't even think of it as selling themselves. They think of it as a transactional opportunity. And I think that's where here in America, where prostitution has become something different, in a lot of countries, because it's legal, because there are rules, you may not see or hear about the women who are in it may not experience the brutality that American prostitution became or is. Um,
Hold on a second. American
so
prostitution has many different faces.
right,
So
American
that
prostitution does have different faces, but when we think about the average, when we think about prostitution as Americans, we think about the pimp and she's on the
You're
corner and
talking about
blah
the
blah blah.
stereotype.
We think about that,
that's that's the Hollywood
right?
version.
So
Reality, the
we think about
reality is
that, right? But what I'm saying is right. We think about that when we hear prostitution, those are the images that come in our mind. We don't think about someone choosing to do this. But like I said, some women feel marriage is a form of prostitution. Some women feel like this is a transaction. I'm giving you something and I'm getting something. You know, so whether it's a trip, whether it's my bills are paid for the year, whether it's I'm living in the best neighborhoods, I have the best this, I have the best that, and I just have to be with you. Maybe not necessarily have sex with you, but like we had said, I think Mahasan said, sometimes these men just want to talk. It's not even about sex, It's about they want to talk to somebody, or they want to have a pretty girl on their arm to go out different things. So right now where I'm at in the book, she hasn't even experienced prostitution yet. She's just like starting. So I am wondering, like someone
You mean
said, where,
you mean
like
to
Bridget
say she
said,
has
where do we go?
yeah. You mean to say
Go
she
ahead, I'm
has not
sorry.
met that version of that one
Right,
which you are describing?
right. Where I'm
Okay.
at in the
let's see.
beginning, where I'm at in the book is she just got out of her contract with the Arab guy who took her to
Swiss
Switzerland.
guy. Swiss guy.
Right.
Yeah.
The Swiss guy. Okay. Who took her there. That's where I'm at. So right now, it's like I'm at that beginning point where
Yeah,
she is
yeah, she has not
kind of
reached there. Yeah, I
realizing,
understand. Yeah, she has not reached
yeah,
to the point of
But
prostitution
you
yet.
that this
Yeah,
may
she's
but you
be
not
make
ready
an
an
that.
but
option.
you make an
And
She's a
then do
excellent
dancer
you,
only. She's about what kind of dance that? She's a
A
just that
samba
dancer.
dancer. Samba.
Samba
She was
dancer.
dancing
Samba.
samba.
So I'm like,
Yeah,
so
she's
if somebody say they are samba dancing in Geneva, I'ma associate that with their go-go dancer back home.
oh,
but basically that's what
But
it
maybe
is.
not. A
It's
go-go
the-
dancer we used to say a go-go dance and prostitution and kind of like the same thing, but that don't make it true though, right?
no, it doesn't
be
make it true.
careful.
You
Just
No,
could
like
be a
no.
just like a
professional dancer and
just like
not be a prostitute.
Yeah, but
well,
I
yeah,
want to
you
make
can
it
so you
clear.
could be yeah, so there's many faces. So you could be a stripper and not be a prostitute.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That's what the ballet dancing is all about. Like, so I was going to talk about that, be clear about what Tamara was saying until like she was the samba dancer. So up till now, that point, she has not even entered into the prostitution. She's like
But
behind that
but I
point.
think she's making a bigger point, and I think I understand the bigger point that she's making. I think she's making a bigger point from from the, and I can't speak on this because I'm not a female, but because she said several times that some women see prostitute marriage as a form of
And
prostitution.
that's another
So
point.
so and I can understand that point because for many, if you are part of the European aristocracy, and this not just happening in Europe, but
Which are all over.
all of the European royals are related, right? Russians, UK, England, Norway, Sweden, they're all related because basically the families did not want to marry down. So they basically forced their daughters to marry
Or out.
other royals.
Royal
You could,
cousins. They are all
or
royal
women
cousins.
will,
They do the
or
same over
women will
there. We
use,
all like they do the same thing
or women
basically.
use in many cultures, European, Arab cultures, women were used as bartering chips, as peace tools, tools for peace, which is prostitution, right? Which is a form of culturally accepted prostitution. So I get it, and I think that's maybe the point that the author is making is that this is the state of woman, right? That women are used as instruments, whether it's acceptable and maybe interesting. I really haven't really thought about it. And now you make me think about, is marriage a form of prostitution? Now I want to say, I want to say no. You know, my mind tells me no, it's not. But there's an argument. I definitely see the argument there. I definitely see the argument there, especially from a historical institutional perspective, right?
We take the
And so this
religiosity
idea
out.
of love, because this idea of love never plays in. I've heard so many women say, I did not, I don't love this man, right? I didn't love your father, right? Right. I didn't love that. I didn't love
I
Marcus.
married him because of what he can provide for me.
And so,
You know,
all right,
See, the
and that's
the
marriage is
life that
always
he
a
Or like Tina
transactional.
Turner be like, cause I stayed with him because he beat me. Because I went to see that play this weekend too. I definitely pimped Tina out for 16 years. She stayed with him, and she definitely didn't love him, and that definitely was a business deal. And in the midst of it, she still got beat up. She was the main bread. She was the more powerful breadwinner. He ain't
Yeah,
even know how to
but you
capitalize it.
see, the marriage, most of the time, if in according to my understanding, more than 95% of the marriages are transactional based. So those transactional bases providing and like providing for one and providing for the other. So that basically, if there is no transaction, you just can live like friends or just like bye bye. You can be from like a distant like a kind of a person, and then like if it is the just only the emotional satisfaction, you can talk to someone and just
Because
like
yeah.
feel.
But we're
which
told that we're told that find someone who's either good looking or rich.
I mean, I would put a kind of a different questions for, like how many species on Earth they they do kind of like thing kind of rather than away from sex, some kind of a love kind of thing there between two species.
there are actually several species that you can make an
Yes, there.
argument that love one another. What is it?
Penguin.
Human
There's a
beings
couple
do.
species.
We do. Human beings, we do.
Oh, yeah,
No,
we
You
do.
get
On
somebody that used to get somebody that they are blessed with love and they married. A lot of times people get it.
Penguins marry and they mate for life, I think.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
penguins. There's another bird. There's a couple of species that just
Vultures
stay
as
parrots, kind
together.
of
well, if I
parrots,
They
remember
stay together
correctly.
for life.
and those kind
Birds.
of like
I think a lot of birds do it. A lot
yeah,
of bird species.
hornbill like one
Yeah.
in
So
Malaysia, one
a
Puerto
lot of
Rican. Anyway,
birds.
One
But then you
thing,
got that
don't
one bird.
change is
But
who
then you got
carry
I
that
the
one
even
baby.
bird who
One
actually
thing
has to
don't
have an
change is who
apartment.
carry the baby.
What's
huh?
the bird that has to have an apartment before he can get a suitor? Is the male bird has to
Yeah,
clean up the
the
nest to have
hornbill,
furniture.
Weaver bird.
the horn,
Is that the weaver bird?
I'm not
beaver
sure.
bird.
So
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
weaver
not
is
in that
also.
species. Maybe the women
Yeah,
are prostitutes. I don't know.
I was gonna say something else that wasn't gonna be nice. So
even
I'm not
the
gonna say
even the woodpecker
everybody might not
is
get the
like
joke
even the
anyway.
woodpecker, and there are many like that one. They make the nicer nest.
Hmm.
Even some fish, they make nice decoration kind of a thing that you would not even imagine this is some kind of architecture engineer who would design this kind of thing or whatever. So, but I'm talking about not these are the kind of, I would say, those,
Behavior.
what you call it, attractive dances to attract the better mate. Like the bees, they go higher to make the better quality for the next generation of the beehive. But I'm talking about the love. I read somewhere about like these dolphins. Dolphins, they have like a better mind or bigger mind. Yeah.
I,
So,
personally, I
but
don't think
I'm talking about like,
I think there's the only type of love that, in my opinion, that is the love between paternal and maternal love. I don't know if there's truly a love between like this romantic love. I think there's maternal and paternal love, but I think these
It
are. I
is
think this
for
is a
11 minutes, Ray. For 11 minutes. It is
okay,
a love
I
between
would put,
us for 11 minutes.
we are
11
going,
minutes. That's the
yeah, that's what
joke.
I was going to say. It was 9/11 now in our time. It's 11 minutes. I was going to say, even the Paolo, when he's written this title as 11 minutes, probably is going to deviate from this 11 minutes, how she's using this 11 minutes, the value of these 11 minutes. And also she's bringing in the other kind of thing as like not only the 11 minutes, but something else also. And so I was thinking even in that direction that
And that's
probably
before a
in the end of the book,
22-year-old 11 minutes.
yeah,
Well,
I
listen,
mean,
I don't want I
I
don't want
do
this
think
conversation to go south.
I do think that he's using 11 minutes in a lot of different ways. It could be used as in a sexual way, it could be used in a life type of way.
No, no, he
So,
says it in the, you haven't got to the part of the book yet.
okay. I haven't gotten to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
point yet.
that,
Okay.
yeah,
and
yeah, he
Um,
says that's what 11
yeah,
minutes is.
yeah,
so
but
I do think there is a such thing as romantic love. I do think we as humans, and I can only speak because I'm a woman, women, we are like, I don't want to say shameful, but it's that constant, and especially in Islam. I'm not married, I've never been married. And I get the constant bombardment of when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? And it's like, you know, uh, it's like, well, if you were, and I'm experiencing it as a Muslim woman, and and I have friends who are not Muslim, who are Christian, who are single and who don't have any kids like myself, and they get the same thing. Like, okay, if you're in a long-term relationship with someone, or, or they looked, it's shameful to be in a sexual relationship with someone and you guys are not married, Um, we have a niece that was to my knowledge, is still maybe in a long-term relationship with her son's father. She has no desire to get married, you know. Um, and I found myself in that situation where I'm like, you guys been together for how long? Why don't you guys get
I'm
married? She's like, I don't want to get married. And so it's like, I think marriage is becoming, women and men are starting to feel like marriage is less and less important for some women and men. In Islam, it's definitely something totally different, but it's like you kind of get shamed, I mean, especially
Who was married?
this,
The young kids feeling the same way. Who married out of their 20s and 30s and on either side of our family? Nobody. None of mine's married. They feel the same way, even Islamically, about the marriage thing. We talked about that before a while. The
yeah,
younger generation.
it's starting to become like less and less and less, but it's like, well, if you have these urges, and I think something that you had posted when you talk about masturbation, yes or no, it's like, well, if you're having these sexual urges, then get married, and like we said, you sometimes, do you marry because you're having these sexual urges, you don't want to sin, you don't want to fornicate, as a Muslim and or Christian or whatever, and you get married to this man, or you get married to this woman, and you don't love him, he don't love you, but you guys, could that be another form of prostitution? Could that look like prostitution, where you guys are marrying to fulfill this need? You don't want to go out, fornicating with other men or fornicating with other women, and you guys do this, and you provide for her, she provides for you, but there's no love there. I don't know. I do feel that there is romantic love. Romantic love does exist. I don't know if I've experienced it. I think I have. I don't know. Um, I do think it does last. I do think romantic love, it's like waves. In the relationships that I grew up experiencing it in the household that I grew up in as a kid, I think that love shows different ways. Sometimes me growing up, I felt like the people who raised me didn't really love each other, because I had this idea of what love was when I was younger, or what I thought was love, by reading. I'm an avid reader, so reading all these fairy tales, that love is supposed to look this way. And it doesn't, of course, as we know, it doesn't look the way, we see on TV, we see on movies. Your parents don't act that way. So I think there is a such thing as romantic love. But I don't know if it happens the way I guess I imagine it to be, growing up as a kid.
And that
As
and
I'm
that's
as
why
I've
I say
gotten
that's
older, yeah, as I've gotten older, I'm starting to see like love doesn't necessarily mean, I guess,
So I would
well,
ask you,
doesn't
I
necessarily
mean,
mean like love and passion is two different things, I
yeah.
think.
So I would ask you
that's
if
that's the,
somebody
that's the,
will
that's the
be,
argument I'm making. But see, you just made my argument, Tamara. We have passion for people. But I don't think because once you become do you have kids?
No, I don't have any kids.
For me, I don't know if other parents agree, but once you have a child, then you experience true love. That love is true. You know what I mean? That love is true.
you mean
And that's
love to the
never, and I've
kids?
never I've
You
never
mean love
experienced
to
that
the
with
kids
any
or love to
person
your
that
spouse?
I have passion for. I think
Ray,
say that again. Yeah,
I said love, you mean the love to your kids or love to your spouse?
your kids.
All right. Yeah, okay.
Because that is long lasting. That is
Yeah.
unconditional. When you have
But
passion,
shouldn't
it
that
becomes.
be for your romantic love? Shouldn't that be unconditional? Shouldn't that be
That's
I
so
would ask you,
unconditional?
conditional.
Tamara.
That's
Tamara,
It's
so
I would
not.
ask
conditional.
you.
I said it
That
Wait,
is
wait,
should
wait.
be.
so conditional.
Tamara,
But it's
I would ask you.
think about it
Tamara, I
like
would
this. Think
ask
about it
you.
like this. Hold on a second, Mr. Son. Think about it like this, right? Everyone has their preferences, right? Right? You want
Okay.
this guy
Yes.
6'1", or he has to have this, or he needs to look like that, or he needs to be this religion, right? When your child comes out, when your child is born, you don't know how they're going to look. You don't know what their attitude is going to be. You don't know anything about them. And
Even
you
some
take
kind of
that thing that
D,
comes out,
like, a,
you take
yeah.
that thing that comes out of that uterus, and you go, wow, this is the most amazing thing I ever saw in my
But
life. And
that's
you
your
do it
mini-me.
unconditionally. You do it unconditionally, regardless of who they become. To put it like this, Jeffrey Dahmer's parents stood with him in court. That's love. That's love, right? But the moment, oh, he did this. He didn't call me back one time. She did that. She did this. He did that. He said this. I'm gone. I'm mad. You don't do that with your kids. You don't
I
do that
guess
with your
some
kids.
I guess some people can
For a
I
little
do.
was
while
going to ask,
sometimes, for a little
I'm
while.
going to ask you.
And,
Go
and the
ahead.
only
Okay.
Go
reason
ahead,
why
Khadija.
people
Well,
stay,
I
the
want
only
to I
reason,
want to
Khadija.
let me
get
one more point. One more point. The only reason why people stay together when conditions are broken is because they feel like they don't have any other choices.
They have, they would be into, I mean,
Because
there
if they
would
have
be some
other
kind of,
options,
yeah,
they go.
yeah. So when they feel that it is more loss of leaving it, or like, yeah, Khadija, you were going to say something.
Okay,
I'm going to
I'm
take this
sorry.
one.
I have to go. My ride is leaving.
Okay.
So
All right. Sure.
Thank you.
until next
Okay.
time.
You,
Until next time.
Tamara.
Okay,
Khadija?
bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.
No,
DJ, go
I
ahead.
was saying that you
Alaikum
was
sis.
asking how do you define love? You said sex, you
Yep.
already know. I said loyalty. For me,
All right.
it definitely have to be an element to that for me,
Yeah.
definitely.
I mean, definitely, as
Can
Ray said, that whenever there is no condition for somebody, that's basically the kind of love. So if there is a condition, transactional based, that's kind of not love. As you said, that or what you call that one, that famous Elizabeth Taylor was saying, I define love as you take care of me, I'll take care of you.
And Ray, you right. With
can we
women, the bigger the bag they
Yeah, go
have,
ahead, Sajid.
a lot of times, usually the less that they're willing to put up with, because usually you be able to plan different stuff. Like you get to imagine how life would be different. But if you don't have those means, if you don't have the money or a separate account or whatever, it's really hard to say, well, what I'm gonna do? Because like you said, what your brother told your father, we ain't going back over here with the baby. So some things you're not gonna do once you have children or when you have them. But there are some women that don't like their babies, that don't like their children. That ain't the most case with the unconditional love and say they're
There are
unconditional, but in
some
most,
cases.
but we talking about the normals. We talking about the norm.
So yeah,
It's
that's a different
unconditional for
story.
Sajid
the
was
child.
going to say something.
Yeah. Can we call it a platonic love? Platonic
Platonic, yeah.
kind of love is that we
Yeah, where
move
there's
from raw kind of love to pure love.
platonic means like no emotion involved.
Yeah. In the beginning, no emotionally involved, and in the end, it is emotional.
No,
That's
platonic
not
love don't mean
platonic.
no emotion.
Platonic
Platonic
means
love mean, I
No,
thought platonic love mean no intimate things
no
between the
It's
person.
intimacy,
kind
no
of
intimacy, no
okay.
Right,
intimacy. Platonic. When you
right.
say platonic, you mean no
Like a
intimacy.
straight line.
Yeah,
Straight
yeah,
line.
yeah.
It
So
could
you
be
have a
more
lot of
for
people. That's what we call the friend zone. A lot
Friend
of
zone, yeah.
men get in the friend zone,
Like, we
and they
just,
stay with it.
you
We're
mean to
just
say that
friends. So it
the
becomes
friends with
platonic.
benefits.
and you hear
No,
people
it's
say
no
that when they
benefit.
say, but do you
No,
know
no,
when
it's
you hear
no. It's on. There's no
Yeah,
benefits.
that's not platonic. No, no,
No
But
I
do
was
you
just
know when you
mentioning.
hear people say that? I keep saying it over again, and I hear people say, I married my best friend. Like, I never understood that because my mother wasn't with my father, like when I was growing up like that. So I never understood when people said that. I thought they were just fronting and just be like, they just want something nice to say. But now that I'm older, I understand how a person, two
They
people
were,
that are married could be friends in a household. Like, I do understand it now. I
yeah,
used to.
it is not like it's not like kind of unimaginary for some two people to get married and to love each other. It's not impossible, but the kind of as Ray or other people are mentioning, or what we are as a group mentioning, that the marriage is not a kind of like for the result of love or like for love, or there are sometimes it could be emotional in the beginning and then you stay at some point you discover that you cannot pull it out of that because of different reasons.
Because sometimes that's unhealthy too, because then you get what is called what is that word called? People become enabled.
Yo-yo. Oh,
Enabled. They can't operate separate from one, so that becomes unhealthy. It can exist. I think people have bonds, natural bonds that occur, but I think they are the
trauma
exception, and
bonds too.
I think they're the exception and not the rule. If you look at the divorce rates right now, they're ridiculous. And the only reason why those divorce rates didn't exist 30, 40 years ago is because women weren't in the same conditions that they are. Women can say, F you, I'm going to go and do my own thing. Women weren't able to do that 30, 40 years ago. So
Yeah,
they had to
because
That,
they
stay
like
in
I
never
said,
relationships they
with the
didn't want to be
Tina
in.
Turner situation, imagine her staying. Ike went to her mother when she was a teenager and took her to put her on the road to entertain. And 16 years before she really got paid, got credit, and she finally got rid of him. And
but
so that's a
guys, we will
long
keep
time to be with a person, and you know you don't love them, and they really don't love you.
guys, we need to keep it like shorter. It's already like an hour and 24
All right.
minutes.
Yeah, we got to get
You gotta
going.
get them
So
down.
we can keep it to the next. Still, there are two more meetings for this one, so we can.
So what
So
page
that
are we reading up till now?
160, because there are no chapters, nothing. So we just platonically go 160.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I'm
Dr.
definitely
Masin, you want to say
interested in the
something?
end,
Sajid, you
and
want
No,
to
no,
say
no.
something?
I just chuckled when you said platonically moved to 160. Okay.
I hope it don't. I hope it don't end. I hope it don't end bad for her. But I'm.
Omar, you
I think
want to
she's
say?
too. I think she's too smart for that.
I think.
Oh,
I
she's
think
too
her and the
smart.
painter guy gonna hook up because they already on the road to the.
Don't tell us about the painter. We haven't gotten.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think
That's
that's
it.
gonna. I don't think. I don't think that's gonna work out. I don't
Because
think
that
that's gonna
land
work.
that place might not be a real place. So that's where I'm. That's why I'm saying you're probably right. Because
I
when
don't
they
think so.
talk about
We'll
it, they
see.
say, "Is it a real place? What is it? The road to Columbia? What is it? The road to what?
The
We'll
road to
see.
was it the road? What is it? The road
Is that a real
Damascus?
place, Hassan?
Who else read that far? I read that
I
far. I
Is
can't
haven't
that
gotten
remember.
that far yet.
is
I
that a
haven't
real
gotten. I was
place?
just
Anyway,
no,
we're
no.
spoiling. We're
Okay,
We
spoiling the
didn't
I'm
go.
book.
We
gonna
didn't. We
Google it.
don't. We don't. We don't. We don't want to go over there. Omar, you
Okay,
want to
so
say
Austin, when you
add
see the
something?
place I'm talking about, see if you can find a real place for that for a picture. Is it a real thing?
All right.
Oh, you
Okay.
talking about the
Omar,
one road that you could take from Geneva to?
No, 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 no.
somewhere where
She's
the
not
people go on
talking.
a pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Anyway, you ain't that
Anyway,
far either.
we'll
No,
talk
no,
about it.
no, we
Yeah,
didn't go
we'll
there.
talk.
Omar, you want to add something before we leave?
Oh, no, I'm good. So far, I'm
Okay.
enjoying the book, and I'll just
All
continue.
right. Tamara, we were just about to close. You want to add something? Thank you for joining in.
Was able to.
No, I was able to just pop back in for the last few
Good,
minutes.
good.
Yeah, get out of here.
I'm just listening.
Yeah.
All right, we out.
So
Ray,
All right,
you
see you guys
recording
next week.
YouTube?
Yeah, this will be recorded on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, we talked about platonic something, so you can find it out on the YouTube.
Okay,
All right.
we'll do.
All right.
I like your other videos too, Ray. Dr. Ray's learning. What is it? Dr. Ray's learning.
Learning minute.
Learning
Yeah.
minute. Learning
Yes,
minute.
it's nice. I like
Only
it.
thing I'm gonna say is you need a microphone. You just gotta.
Yeah, I need a
invest
better
in
everything.
just a little microphone. Maybe a ring like they got like the smokers, but definitely a little microphone.
Yeah, I have one. I actually have one. I just
didn't feel
What is
like
the
putting it
brand?
in.
What is the
Yeah,
brand
the phones are
called? What is
good
the
though.
brand? What is the brand called? The one which is normally people do for professional recording?
Snowball.
No,
But
there is
that's the
something
micro.
other.
No,
There
blue.
is one professional one, which is
I
most
don't
of
know.
the.
listen. I
forgot.
have one. I'm gonna start using it because I've
I
heard
got
people
like
say
a
that.
little one that I use like when I was there. I just clip it on or whatever I do it. I could plug it in,
It
and
has
that's
both
it.
of
It
the
sound
ends. Like
fine.
you can have this one or put for this one, and but these are I forgot the name. I will
I'm
find.
gonna get the technical part together, guys. We'll get it
All
together.
right. Okay.
But
All
I
right, guys.
like
See
the
you next.
videos. All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
See you next week.
See y'all.
Have a
Bye.
good week, everybody.
All right. Bye, Auntie. Love you.
Okay.
Bye,
Have a
Tamara.
safe
back.
week, brother.
Assalamualaikum.
Have a
Alaikum.
safe
Good
week,
night,
brother.
everyone.
Good night. Bye.
Alaikum salam.
Mrs. Sajid, Mr. Sajid.
Yes, yes.
Any update on the course?
Yes, teacher training is in progress by Rehan School, and I talked to its principal, and he was saying that he would be in touch with you very soon. I would
Okay.
just follow up and
No problem.
would tell you. And
Just want to know
secondly,
so I can prepare.
secondly, yeah, as far as training is concerned, regular training that we were thinking, there are summer vacations here, so it's taking time. Students are away
Mhm.
from campuses, so it's taking time. Maybe it may take. I asked a student today. He came to me and I said that okay, I sent you post. Did you see? He said that I haven't seen any post. So they are not visiting their computers even.
Got it. No worries. Just let me know what we need to do.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
I would be in touch with you very soon.
Let's keep in touch. All right. Thank you.